Hello, my name is Jeff. This is Castle Tutelage, your home defense network. On the 9th of June, 2016, the Ninth Circuit of Appeals came out and shot down Peruta versus San Diego. Why is this important to everybody in the country? According to one of the dissenting opinions, it was said that the majority eviscerated the Second Amendment, and this is why. In order for you guys to understand why, we must know how a little bit. In the state of California is a May issue, okay? A May issue, you have to show good cause why you should have a 2-year permit to concealed carry. Now, Peruta, down in San Diego, filed a lawsuit after he was denied a concealed carry. Because in, I think it was 2010, and don't nail me on that, California outlawed open carry also. So the main argument was, if you couldn't open carry, and it was so restrictive in who can carry concealed carry, that in a sense, people in California lost their constitutional Second Amendment right on the backs of Heller and other case rulings. And what happened was that it went through the process, and it went to a three-judge. I'm trying to keep this simple. It went to the California Supreme Court has 20 some odd judges, I think. And what will also happen is that sometimes the entire court will hear it, and then other times a 3-judge panel will hear it. A 3-judge panel heard it and then agreed with Peruta, saying that California laws were so restrictive in how it does its business that it was violating Peruta's Second Amendment right to carry a firearm, well, to have a firearm. Now, what the entire court decided to say, and throwing out law, the Heller decision, etc., saying that there was no constitutional right to concealed carry. What that really means. What does that really mean? Again, the judge used the dissenting opinion, said it eviscerated the Second Amendment. Okay? You states that have constitutional carry, if it is ever challenged into the federal courts, if this ruling stays, you have no constitutional right to concealed carry. We have no constitutional right to concealed carry. Now, why is this important? Here is the geographic boundaries of the circuit courts, the federal appellate courts. Look at District 9 over here. All right. See my little blip here? Washington, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, California, Nevada, Arizona, Hawaii, Alaska, Guam. Who's MP? Marshall Islands? I don't know. Everybody in those states right now, guess what? If the ruling stands, you have no constitutional right to concealed carry. Insert any other constitutional guarantee, the freedom of speech. Would anybody say that we do not have a freedom of speech on public ground? Okay? Basically what the court is saying, that we do not have a constitutional right to carry a gun outside of our home, but they recognize that we could carry one inside the home. Freedom of religion. What does that mean? We do not have a constitutional right outside our home for freedom of religion. How about right to assembly? Do we have a right to assembly outside our home? Name us any other constitutional guarantees that we have that we can only be inside our home. This is basically what that judge told us. I'm new at this learning about law and the politics of the court system. The Ninth Circuit of Appeals is using the justice system as a political tool. They will ignore case law that has already been decided by the Supreme Court, interject what they want to be in there, and then force it upon the Supreme Court. Guess what, people? If Hillary Clinton is elected, that case will have even more teeth. The court will be flipped upside down, and it may take generations to get back our Second Amendment privilege. The Second Amendment is no longer a right. It is a privilege in certain states. And because of one judge in California who lives in the San Francisco area, whose myopic view on constitutionalism as a political issue and not of a rights issue. With Justice Scalia dying, President Obama, it was sad that Scalia has died. It is even more sad, hey, you guys in Illinois, if Justice Scalia died 3 years earlier, you wouldn't be able to carry a gun in your state because of the Heller decision. I think I forget when the Heller was. I won't get into that. It's outside of my expertise. You may have not been able to carry, you people in Illinois. Now, people are going to say, hey, I live in Arizona. What is the nut jobs in California going to do to me? You're in the Ninth Circuit of Appeals. That court decision, even though that you have a state constitutional right to carry, now can be gone after legally, saying that the state of Arizona doesn't have the right to say there is a constitutional carry, and the federal court, the Ninth Circuit of Appeals, has a possibility of striking that down. The perfect example in District 2 over here, if you look at New York, Connecticut, Vermont, there was a ruling that just came out, and in the Newtown shooting, there was a lawsuit out there where people are trying to not ban those evil-looking AR-15s. And I asked a liberal the other day, what does AR in the AR-15 stand for? He goes, assault rifle. Okay. Glad to meet you, sir. Have a good simpleton life. Okay? These guys, this was another bad idea. Okay? These guys, their hearts were right, saying, hey, we're going to try to reverse the decision of banning these certain type of guns. In theory, it was good. But what happens, and they're doing it in New York, okay, in the Second Circuit. It's kind of like going to Russia with a high school hockey team and going against their pros in the 1980s. Granted, yes, in 1980 we had a big win with our college players, yeah. But you get the idea. You don't take, when it's so powerful one way in one area, you do not want to go head on and engage trying to make that happen. Now, because of the Pulse in Orlando, where it sounds like some kind of a nut job jihadist, maybe was gay, maybe was not gay, who knows what this guy did. Shot a lot of people with an AR-15. Okay? I don't know. He was in there for 3 hours. He could have shot people with a .22 semi-auto rifle and still killed just as many people in that 3-hour period and just let them bleed out. But the cops decided to stay out because of a bomb threat, or that's what they do. They surround and make sure that no one gets out, and that makes sure that there's a lot of people dead. Okay? I'm not sure what the report is. Did the murders all happen in the beginning and not at the end? 3 hours went by. So if they were wounded, they bled out and they died right there. I don't know what to say about that. So now what the court has said, because of the Orlando shooting, is they're not going to hear that case out of the Second Circuit. And now by proxy, it has been established that you can restrict certain guns, even if they look evil. If they have a pistol grip on it, it's evil, we'll ban it. If it has a magazine that has more than 10 rounds on it, the longer the looks, the meaner it gets and looks like a frog symbol. It is important. Now that the Ninth Circuit of Appeals have made it not a constitutional right to concealed carry, will affect, look at, the 10th Circuit, the 8th Circuit, the 5th Circuit, 11, 4, 6, 7, 3, 2, 1. It could affect all those. Now, Illinois, you could be just as bad now as a May issue. Let me get you going with May issue. May issue came about to restrict blacks from carrying guns. It was a good boys network. It was born out of racism. Now you have to have a political end. In the 50s and the 60s, if you were white, you were going to get a concealed carry permit. Now in the 2016s, you have to be politically in to have a concealed carry in Los Angeles, San Diego, the counties surrounding Oakland and San Francisco. What kind of constitution are we going to be a part of? What is the constitution? What we going to be a part of in our kids' generation, their kids' generation? If Hillary Clinton is elected, she is going to be putting another justice in there that will not be looking at the law, but see it through a paradigm of a political party would, and take your right, your natural given right to defend yourself. Everything on this planet has the ability to defend themselves. I'm talking plants. I'm talking amoebas. I'm talking lions. They all have an ability to defend themselves in some fashion. But if you are human, only there's, and this thing is in California. Okay, let's go back to California a little bit. Who establishes your right to concealed carry in the state of California? Every county has one person to decide if your Second Amendment right is a privilege. And that is the sheriff. If the sheriff determines that self-defense is not a good cause requirement, you will be denied your Second Amendment privilege from carrying a concealed weapon outside your home. And guess what, people? If you don't have a fence in your front yard in California, you can't carry concealed in your front yard. Okay? So, my throat is getting all worked up. This is a very important election because the Peruta decision more than likely is going to go to the Supreme Court and is going to be decided. I don't know if Trump is going to actually put in a constitutionalist if he is elected, but we know for absolutely sure Hillary Clinton will never put in a constitutionalist in the Supreme Court. She wants an Australian gun control law where they eliminated hundreds and thousands of handguns, and it's going to be sad. It's an idea. It is protection. It is the idea of the government not being a tyrannical misfit in ruining our lives. Okay, they always say that the terrorists, that the public is the terrorists. In my view, the people who get their paycheck from the government are the terrorists. My name is Jeff. This is Castle Tutelage, your home defense network. I hope this helped.